welcome to 30-Minute Reviews. I am Adam. It is the 18th, April 18th, the day after Easter Monday, as some businesses call it when they give people off work. And as you can tell by the fact that it is a little after 5, well, I mean, by the time it uploads, it's after that, but it is a little after 5, and I am driving. You can tell that I did not have off work today. So here we are. We are talking about today's biggest news story, the news story that people have been waiting weeks for, and it is finally here, and that is the trailer for Thor, Love and Thunder. It is a... how do I put this? It's a teaser trailer, and it makes me want... my question is, why are they waiting so long? Why did they wait so long to put out a trailer for this movie? It doesn't make sense to me that they would wait until, the movie comes out in, 3 months. Under 3 months. And they just put out the first trailer today. I'm not sure why they would have done that. And interestingly, too, the trailer does not show Gore, who's the bad guy in the movie. The trailer kind of makes it look like what this movie's going to be is kind of a globe-trotting exploration by Thor. I mean, globe-trotting used, loosely here, because he's not really trotting a globe. He's a journeyman now. Ever since the events of Endgame, he needs to find himself. So he's out searching the galaxy and all of that to see what he can do to find his own inner peace, is what I think what they say in the trailer. And look, the Guardians are there, and that's cool, but it seems almost like they're marketing a Disney Plus series, because that's what this felt more like. This felt like a Disney Plus trailer, not in terms of how it's different in quality, but in terms of how they market Disney Plus shows. That's what this trailer feels like, more than a trailer for a major motion picture. And the thing is, too, I think they missed out by waiting this long to put this trailer before something. They could have had this play before Sonic. They could have had this play before, before the other one, Fantastic Beasts. And look, I mean, it's gonna play in theaters now before every major release that comes out between now and the end of, and the movie's release. So, it'll be before, Multiverse of Madness, which I'm gonna assume is gonna do over $1 billion. It's gonna be before... I can't think of anything else that's really major. I mean, it's probably going to be before this week's, the unbearable weight of massive talent. That's probably where it's going to end up being before. And it's look, a lot of the imagery is really cool. Seeing all the places Thor is going to. Really cool idea. I love this idea. And, this is kind of what I was hoping Ragnarok would have been when Ragnarok was announced. I wanted it to be a movie basically about Thor going around the universe and seeing what's out there. And, exploring, this is what's out there in the universe. This is everything that's going on. This is everything, out there for while he's looking for the Infinity Stones. And, Ragnarok was Ragnarok, and I'm not going to complain because Ragnarok was great. But I think that if this is the movie they're doing... I feel like the Thor movies have consistently been the most ambiguous with what the bad guy is. Well, no, Hela was pretty obviously the bad guy, even from the trailers for Ragnarok. It was it's Hela who's going to be the antagonistic force. I feel like Love and Thunder... I can't understand why Love and Thunder is playing so coy with what's going on. I mean, the only thing I can think of is there's a Moon Knight tie-in. That's the only thing I could think of, is that, maybe that's, there's a weirdly framed shot where it's who could be in this shot with Thor, where it's it's very obvious that someone was edited out in post-production, but, who would be edited out of that shot? And it's I mean, Jane comes to mind as an obvious, first idea. Then there's, what's it called? There is the possibility of it being, like Valkyrie joining the fight. And then there's Korg there. It could be, I don't see why it couldn't be Loki. Because Loki is alive at this point, unless timelines are all fucky as a result of Loki and he, can't be there for some reason. What else is there? It could, I saw people speculating it could be Hercules, which is always a possibility. If you consider that, they are going to Olympus in this movie, because we see, Zeus, and it's like all of this stuff is so cool looking, but I'm getting the same kind of vibe I did from the Eternals trailer, where it's like the Eternals trailer didn't do a lot to really explain to you what the movie's going to be, which was fine, and, I liked Eternals. And, this movie doesn't have to sell anything the way Eternals does. That said, a little more looking at what this movie could, a little bit more explanation as to, where does the God Butcher fit into this story would be a little bit more helpful, considering this trailer really doesn't show too much. Which is fine. But I guess, maybe the person in that shot who's edited out is Moon Knight. Because we're seeing a lot of Egyptian gods in Moon Knight. We had a meeting of a council of the gods in Moon Knight. And that's a really cool idea and all of that. But if there are gods there, and there's a God Butcher on the loose, then I feel like there's definitely a chance that Moon Knight could show up. Because, Khonshu, the god of the moon and the god of vengeance, it fits. It works for what they're trying to do. I just feel like it would have been better had they gone out of their way to kind of lay out a little bit what's going on here. Now, it's one of those things where I would say most likely it's Jane, because they wanted to save the reveal of Jane in the movie for that shot at the end where Mjolnir shows up and there's Jane with the hammer. They wanted to save that for there. I think that's probably the most likely option, is that it's Jane there. Why the fuck are the lights all fucked up? It's just one of those situations where it's like, well, what is the best way to tell this story? What is the best way to, what I'm looking for here, get, to get from, across the whole, sorry, I blanked on what I was trying to say. What is the best way to get around, to sell this movie? And I think part of it is, you do need some kind of trailer. You can't get away with no trailer. But that said, look at the last few movies and look at how little was given. Black Widow and Shang-Chi had a kind of normal marketing schedule, and same with Eternals. But, big event movies didn't really. They didn't do a big, a big marketing campaign in the way they used to for No Way Home. They didn't do a big normal marketing campaign for Endgame, or even Far From Home. Because Far From Home couldn't, because they didn't want to spoil what was happening in Endgame. They couldn't do the big thing. The big thing in it is the reveal of, is the death of Tony Stark, which kind of, impacts the whole movie and informs everything that happens in the movie. So it is kind of one of those things where it's I don't understand what the thought process here was. I don't understand what they're doing Because it's like, unless there is a Moon Knight tie-in, there's really no explanation as to why the show is doing what it is. Like, why this trailer is doing what it's doing. Which is being very ambiguous and playing very close to the vest with what's going on in the movie. Because look, you can sit here and show me landscape shots, and that's great, but you're not trying to sell me, like, planet Earth, or, prehistoric world, or any of these nature documentaries. You're trying to sell me a major tentpole movie. And it's like, Star Wars doesn't work with just cool effect shots of Tatooine and cool effect shots of Mustafar and things like that. That doesn't work to sell the movie anymore. You need to show more. You need to give us plot and character and substance and things that will make the viewer be like, oh shit, this is why I need to watch this movie right now. And I don't think that this movie really does that with this trailer. I don't even know what kind of tone the movie's going for. But there's a lot that this trailer doesn't tell you. Like, are they going for a more serious tone? Are they going for, the same kind of comedic tone? I would assume the same kind of comedic tone because it's Waititi who's directing it and writing it. But I don't know if that would be, like, that kind of thing. And then the Guardian involvement. Like, look, I think if you think the Guardian's going to be in more than just the first... if you think the Guardians are going to be in for more than just the first, 20 minutes of the movie, and then possibly after that, in the third act, I don't know what else to tell you. I feel like, they're not going to be there the whole way through. And if you're one of the people online who's complaining about where Gamora is, I'm not... Here's my problem with where is Gamora. I know people asking, where is Gamora? Gamora, as we saw her in at the end of Endgame, was not the same Gamora who was there when Infinity War started. Gamora died in Infinity War. Gamora, as we see her at the end, and the Gamora that is still alive, although technically I don't think there's a reason why she should be alive. It's not like Tony Stark knew that Gamora had switched sides and was fighting against Thanos. Because I think that was a battlefield decision, if I remember correctly, not a conscious, we're here, and now I'm going to go and hang around with, with these guys instead of hanging out with Thanos. Unless the gauntlet was so it's kill all of Thanos' troops. She's not fighting with Thanos, so I guess that, whatever. But that was what happened. And then at the end of, Endgame, he's there, he's looking at, the picture and trying to figure out where Gamora is. That's what his mission is. That is the mission of Guardians 3, is finding Gamora. And I think that, that's the thing. Don't expect to see Gamora here. This movie's going to be right after Endgame. As evidenced by the fact that it's got a training montage that we see in this movie. We see Thor training to go from being Fat Thor, Bro Thor, as he was in as he was in Endgame, back to being the Thor that we know. And we have Ravager Thor and all of these other things, but, it is a, deplorables won. You guys lost the election, as evidenced by your Trump 2024 sticker. It's one of those things where, you look at it and it's if you understand, I think there's just a lack of comprehension skills that people have, where it's they can't quite figure it out. And I think too, part of it is they're really kind of acting kind of smart over at Marvel Studios, considering they did the 5-year time gap, and up until that point, it was always modern day when everything took place. And the idea that now that we are in this, now that we're in this, this new timeline where things are now different, the pandemic definitely helped, because what it did was it allowed them, they had that year to kind of catch up. Then, Black Widow's a flashback. Then, Eternals is, immediately after Endgame, like within a week after Endgame. Then there is, Spider-Man is like, the first one, Far From Home, is right after Endgame. And then, No Way Home is immediately after that. So it's like they're all staying immediately after Endgame, so we're going to slowly be able to catch up back to real time. Which is helpful only from a storytelling perspective, because it doesn't force the writers and everything to be like, okay, well now it's 2024 or 2025, not the current year. And I don't know if it really matters all that much, but it like having to think along that timeline, it just definitely helps out in making sure that things are kind of operating at the right, levels and all of that. So we'll wrap up there for today. If you have not watched the Thor Love and Thunder trailer, you can go to YouTube. It is on Marvel Studios' YouTube page, and probably a bunch of other people who have already taken it and put it up themselves to, try and commandeer your views to get ad revenue, which I feel it should be a copyright infringement, but I think that part of it is, like, we're in this weird time now where it's like the studio doesn't care, because the studio just wants people to watch the video, and if people watch the video, it will raise awareness for the movie, and then that'll convert to people buying tickets. So like that, the studio doesn't really care too much about, but at the same time, like, these people are making money off of it, and I say this having done almost 20 minutes talking about the trailer on a ad-supported podcast, but I'm also not showing the trailer, but it is one of those things where it's like, it just kind of feels weird to just wholesale put the trailer up with their little watermark in the corner and be like, see, we did it, and it's like, alright, cool, you did it. I don't know. I feel like there's not a lot going on in this trailer, but it is also a teaser. It's a minute and a half, so maybe there'll be a full trailer. Hopefully there will be a full trailer. And I just really love, a lot of the aesthetic is really cool. I like a lot of the aesthetic, but if this is an aesthetic trailer, it did its job. If its design is to, try and tell me what the movie's going to be, it has not done its job. So we'll wrap up there for today, and until our next episode, which will be whatever news happens throughout the week, have a great rest of your week.